In today's video, I'm finally going to go over the future of DC. Now, it's not particularly a new DC, so to speak, because as James Gunn has said, The Flash doesn't reset everything. Some actors will be the same, and some won't be. So it's a soft reboot at most, if you like, because most of the actors are pretty much staying around. I don't believe it's a PR stunt till their respective movies come out, but we'll see later this year. So, what is freaking good, YouTube Warstu here? If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, pop culture based content that we cover on a daily basis. If you are new around here, let us know down below. What is your interpretation of the future of DC? As I said, it's not the new DCU, it's just the extended DC Universe Part 2 or 2.0 if you like. So, also, if you could check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful face. If you could check us out on Twitter, the WarstuG. So, there is this impression that I absolutely hate what was revealed, and I don't. I don't actually hate what was revealed because nothing was really revealed. We recently got the picture that came out that Pete Safran, looking like a Don like he is, and James Gunn basically did a Marvel presentation for the press the night before. So why I say this isn't really the new DC is there's been comparisons made to Marvel. And I think this is such a bad take because when Marvel released Iron Man, they didn't really have a plan. And also they did not own all their own characters like DC. That's why a lot of people are disappointed with this slate because DC, owned by Warner Bros. Discovery, owns every single DC character. They can use every single character. Whereas when Marvel started, they were randomly dropping movies. Iron Man wasn't really successful, wasn't really a popular character from the comics. The MCU, the Marvel movies, made Marvel Comics popular again in a roundabout way. But DC Comics have always been somewhat popular to a certain degree. And as I said, this new slate, it's still banking off Superman and Batman. How generic, don't get me wrong. Batman and Superman are DC's biggest IPs, but it's still not really taking any risks here. For me, this is quite a general, generic slate. But I am looking forward to some of it. So James Gunn has come out and tried to have a dig at his former boss, Kevin Feige. Although James Gunn will still be meeting up with Kevin Feige as they are, work colleagues to a certain degree, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 premiere will be happening. I presume James Gunn will have to go on the press tour. So he's come out recently and been very ambiguous and said, the DC movie slate a lot more planned out than Marvel Phase 1, claims James Gunn. Yet you've only got one release date out of a whole slate. One release date out of a whole slate. And you're trying to come through like you're the big Donist. So what did he actually say? I think we have a lot of differences. I think that's one of the reasons why I love DC. Is it really is another universe? It's an alternate world. In Marvel, generally, it's New York City, Chicago, San Francisco, and then every other place in the world is fictional universe for some reason. Here at the DCU, we have Metropolis, Gotham, Themyscira, Atlantis, and all of that is sort of another fictional universe. And this is the world we are creating. I do find it fascinating how he's basically coming out and saying, yeah, this slate is so much better than what Marvel did. But anyone that knows the origin of how Marvel started with movies, they were nearly bankrupt. They had to literally sell off all their characters. How do you actually think Spider-Man ended up being owned by Sony and the Fox characters? How do you think the Fantastic Four, the X-Men ended up being Fox characters? Because Disney Marvel had to sell literally all their IPs off. So to come out and say the slate is somewhat better than what Marvel had in Phase 1, that's not even a flex. That's really not a flex because, as I said, you own all the IPs for all the characters to do with DC. That is why a lot of people I've spoke to who are diehard DC fans, I'm talking about people in real life, not people twouting stuff on Twitter. People in real life are disappointed with this slate because it's generic. It's a standard James Gunn, let's get a bunch of random characters that no one has heard of outside of the comic book fans and try and make them popular. Sure, it worked with Guardians 1. It worked with Guardians 2. Sure, it didn't work with the Suicide Squad. Although, I did really like the Suicide Squad movie. I think it's pretty cool. But financially, the Suicide Squad movie flopped. And I know exactly what people are going to say, but it was released during a really bad time. Keep saying that. Keep saying that, lads and ladettes. Godzilla vs. Kong came out quite close to the Snyder Cut. Made just under $500 million, and it was day-and-day release on HBO Max. So you're telling me the Suicide Squad movie made less than half of what Godzilla vs. Kong did. And I see people in the comments going, oh, yeah, if the Suicide Squad came out today, it would hit $500 to $700 million. No, it wouldn't. It would literally do Black Adam numbers. The problem with DC is there's no cohesive version of the universe. And I understand that is what James and Pete Safran are trying to do. I've had a conversation with Pete Safran before. He's a very cool guy. At the Shazam premiere, I really like him. He's a very good producer. He's done a lot of cool work on Shazam, on Aquaman, and a bunch of other projects at Warner Bros. So I don't disbelieve the plan will work, but to come out and be like so cynical that, yeah, we're better than Marvel, yet you're trying to mimic what they did. Chapter 1, Phase 1. I mean, the Marvel formula does work, but the movies have to be good. It's all about making good movies. And James Gunn had a dig at Marvel where he says, the director's vision. We will let the director do whatever the hell they want. That's cool. But if you're going to have a cohesive universe where the TV shows, the movies, and the video games all line up, and where's the Superman video game? Doesn't say anything about video games. Come on, James. Come on, where's this video game lineup? Yeah, I know we've got the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game coming out this year. Cool. But if you're going to come out and say the video game's going to line up, give us some freaking video games if you want to be different. I don't think the DC universe has to mimic the MCU, but it is still really weird. So, we'll get in the DC universe. Cool. But then we're getting an Elseworld universe, which is like whatever DC wants to do outside of the DC universe. So, we're going to have 2 new Supermen. We're going to have 2 Batmans. We're going to have a new Batman in the DCU. We're going to have Robert Pattinson Batman. We're going to have a Joker inside this Elseworld universe. And we're probably going to have a Joker inside the DC universe. So there is going to be multiple variances of different characters. Sure, they've come out and said it won't be played by the same actor, but it is a bit bad how the Batman, Joker 2, are labeled as DC Elseworld. They're not going to be part of the gods and monsters. I can see where James Gunn is going with this, sure. But the normies, the general audience, they're not committed. They have no investment. A lot of people are like, yeah, we invested 10 years into this, post the Nolan trilogy. There was a universe they were building there. Why couldn't they just use the same actors and change the story for whatever narrative you want to build? And we are getting the Tahisha Coates Superman film that allegedly is being produced by J.J. Abrams. This will feature a black Superman story, and it's an Elseworld story. This movie's been in production for like 5 years or so. Is it ever going to see the sunlight? And you're not telling me that hypothetically speaking, if DC really wanted to, you could continue the SnyderVerse as an Elseworld storyline, Justice League 2 and 3, if you wanted. I don't understand how some SnyderVerse fanboys are getting really excited because Ben Affleck could direct a movie. Realistically, I don't really care if Ben Affleck directs a movie or not. Put him in as Batman in the Elseworld storyline. It does really fascinate me how they're going to continue to do these Elseworld storylines and then push whatever narrative they want in their own DC universe. Why? Because the Joker banged $1 billion? Didn't need a sequel? Not necessarily. I am pleased that Robert Pattinson's version of the Batman will be running in its own universe. So James Gunn had this to say. The bar for an Elseworld tale is going to be higher than the bar for a movie within the DCU. Not that we're not always going to have a high bar, but it's got to be something really special for us to tell that story outside of our regular continuity and to spend money to make it. All right, lad, David Zaslav has to sign up on all the budgets anyway, so it's not really up to James Gunn. I get it, he's head of the studio, but he's not like a Kevin Feige. He hasn't got full control of what is coming out and what gets greenlit. It has to go to the Warner Bros. Discovery's exec. So recently they have revealed the inspiration for what is coming out with the DC universe. So Creature Commandos, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, The Authority, Batman and Robin, Booster Gold, and Superman Legacy. And this is cool because, yeah, sure, comic book sales are going through the roof, but realistically, they don't hold much comic book stock on Amazon. So I keep seeing people going, yeah, the comic books are selling out massively. They don't exactly print many DC comics, to be honest. Like, there's even a quote here. Comics are important to me. It's important to the comics. Take advantage of all of that. I want the comics to continue. I don't want it to die. It's a dying art form, James Gunn. Cool. That is cool. But I don't think a correlation that Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow sells out. I don't really think that means the internet loves the Slate. They just want some ideas of whatever the story's going. And people posting stuff like, yeah, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is number 1. Batman by Grant Morrison is number 2. All-Star Superman is number 3. Cool. The Authority, Autonomous, sells out on Amazon. Like I said, they don't hold much stock on Amazon. So stop making out that they're selling out. They don't hold much comic book stock on Amazon because all of a sudden people are buying them. So of course they are going to sell out. So the slate really rides on whoever this Superman is. For some reason, they want a 25-year-old Superman. And then the Batman will be somewhat a little bit older. He's got to be for this Damian Wayne storyline to make sense. So what a lot of people don't like about this new slate is the fact that it's very inconsistent. Picking and cropping, copying and pasting. We get Weasel and Amanda Waller somehow are going to be in the new universe. To me, it is a bit weird. It really is a bit weird. One of the most annoying, I get it, Amanda Waller is important, but she was literally in the scene with Black Adam and Superman, yet for some reason, she's going to be a survivor. Flash resets many things, not all things. Some characters remain the same and some do not. But Henry Cavill's Superman does not fit the agenda. We didn't let go of Gal. Ezra Miller is in his movie already. Henry doesn't fit what I have for Superman. And then I read everything about this new Superman. And it doesn't scream an origin story. It basically is an origin story, but it doesn't scream anything that hasn't been done before him by anyone else that's been in control of the Superman storylines. Doesn't scream any different than Christopher Reeve version, any different than Henry Cavill Superman's version by Zack Snyder. So I am really interested what the hell they're going to do with this movie. Because at the moment, it just looks like, yeah, let's just have a younger Superman. He's going to work at Daily Planet. He's going to meet Lois. He's going to be more grounded. He's not going to snap anyone's neck. So basically, you're saying we're getting a really soft Superman who won't actually kill in order to save the day, because he's so humane. And another thing is, it's like this quote here, James Gunn, Superman, Legacy. But it says there's no release date for the Batman Brave and Bold. So we're getting an Elseworld storyline in 2025, allegedly, the Batman Part 2. Superman Legacy, if they're going to get out in 2 years, they need to start actually moving and actually shifting. The fact that James Gunn is going to be directing the Superman movie, allegedly, is not a very good idea. Creature Commandos, The Authority, I think it'd be cool for team-up movies. But we go back 2 years ago, James Gunn said he didn't want anything to do with Superman movie. All of a sudden he does. Very skeptical. There's a lot of people that are skeptical about this slate, but some people don't really have the cojones to actually come out and say it. I do think it's a very weak idea, but not much is needed. It's like I say on Twitter, make good movies and people will go watch them. But at the same time, they're like, yep, we're going to put out 2 movies a year and 2 TV shows. And if they're not ready, we're not going to push them out until they're ready. Okay, that's cool, but in the 21st century, content is king. And yeah, details keep coming out about Superman Legacy and about Batman the Brave and Bold. But realistically, there is no details. There's a lot of people going, the acting, they're casting for everything. Are they though? Because according to James Gunn, he doesn't cast until the scripts are done. So is that the same for the Brave and the Bold? We don't actually know who will be writing that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm really looking forward to the Green Lantern series. I think that will be fire. HBO don't normally miss. They don't normally miss at all. But Gods and Monsters, and then this whole making Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 part of the DC universe slate because they've got no content. And then trying to work, I don't understand this now. Why do you want to work with Ben Affleck? We're working with Ben Affleck, who really wants to be part of our architectural team, trying to bring things together. And he really wants to direct one of our projects, and we're looking forward to him doing that. I mean, I prefer him behind the camera. For example, The Accountant was pretty cool. But you could always slide Henry Cavill into The Authority. You got to understand, when James Gunn said he's trying to figure out ways to work with Henry Cavill in the future, Henry Cavill could rock up in the DC universe again, just not as Superman. Because everyone seems to think that Jason Momoa is going to play Lobo, but that's kind of been squashed now because apparently Jason said Aquaman was always a 3-parter. I don't understand why an actor would have so much control. I mean, unless your name's Robert Downey Jr. and you're playing Iron Man, I don't think any actors have any creative control. And then there's some hype boys like this. There was a project they didn't announce because the name would have given away too much. All right, Jeff Snyder, what are you trying to hype up? So there's a lot of projects on this list But without a release date, it doesn't really mean much. So for me, the DCU slate is just Superman Legacy because there's no release dates for anything else. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, The Brave and Bold, Paradise Lost, Wonder Woman, no mention of Diana Prince at all, Booster Gold, Creature Commandos, Amanda Waller TV series, no one cares about that. Green Lantern, Swamp Thing, and The Authority, but there's no release dates for anything. It was a premature announcement. What really should have happened is the following. You should have done this big DCEU reveal after every other movie had already come out. Because now, it's almost like you're saying, yeah, Gal can stay, Jason can stay, Zachary Levi could stay. Is that all being said because you don't want their movies to flop like Black Adam flop? I don't know. It's an interesting one. It really is an interesting one. And now you're taking out Keaton, Cavill, Gal Gadot, Sasha Calle, apparently from the ending of the Flash movie. Well, of course, because it's not going to be set in a crisis event anymore. And Ben Affleck Batman's not going to get lost in time, is he? No. And yeah, don't get me wrong. The fan art of Chris Pratt as Booster Gold does look fire, but let's just, stick to the story. Whoever plays the next Superman and Batman will be signed to play the character in film, TV, and video games and animation because they're all going to be the same continuity. Let's hope you stick to that. Now, a lot of people will think this video is quite negative. No, I'm just showing and giving you criticism of the new slate because realistically it's pretty empty. There is nothing there to get hyped for. Cool, a new Superman, a new Batman, another new Superman, cool. But realistically, if they were gonna reveal anything at this slate reveal, it should have been Wolfgang, the new Superman. Actor X is the new Batman. But they haven't casted anyone yet, which I'm very suspicious about. The Flash will reset the DCEU into the DCU. Well, it won't because it's not a reboot. It's a very soft reboot. If you're going to have the Peacemaker continuity, if you're going to have the Suicide Squad continuity, if you're only replacing Batman and Superman and Ray Fisher Cyborg from the original Justice League, it's not a reboot. It's really not a reboot. And it's all right saying, yeah, Creature Commanders and Waller we debuted before Superman. Okay, cool, but a cartoon animation series and Amanda Waller, no one cares. I get it. She could be decent, but at the moment, she rubs up a lot of people the wrong way. July 11th, 2025, we'll get a new Superman. Well, you better freaking reveal who Superman is in the next 3 months because if you're going to have a turnaround in under 2 years to do everything, really, and it's not finished being written yet. Don't get me wrong. I think The Authority and Creature Commandos will be absolute fire. If you learn anything from Dragon Ball Z, etc., anime, and Invincible and Amazon Prime, anime and animated cartoons, Teen Titans even, they can be really successful, but they have to be done right. And that's where the incontinuity could really fall apart. Jensen would be the perfect choice for Batman. Yeah, I'd be down with that. But where the freaking hell? Where's Green Arrow? That's what I don't understand here. Where is Green Arrow? You want to go to all the comic books and stuff? Where was the Green Arrow announcement? And are we getting a Darkseid? Because Darkseid is the same character in every single freaking universe. So there can only be one Darkseid. Is it going to be the same Darkseid from the Justice League movie? From the Snyder Cut? Oh, there's going to be a lot of crossover, which may confuse the normies, to be honest. So likewise, guys, let us know. What do you actually really think? Not your sugarcoat version. Your actual honest opinion. Your raw opinion. Not your I want to be Mr. Positive opinion. Your raw, real, unbiased, unfake opinion of this slate. So like always, guys, I am hyped for whoever's going to be the new Superman. And sure, Damian Wayne introducing the Batman family, that will be freaking awesome. But let's just hope in this Batman movie that he does introduce pretty much whole Bat family because these characters have already been established and been around for years. So there's going to have to be a lot of cameos flying up and down and around. And I really hope James Gunn actually comes out and reaffirms what the hell's going on with the likes of Aquaman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, etc. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram. That's Warstu. Check us out on Twitter. WarstuG. I know we'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.